Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films, the second of 5 draft shows live Monday nights. If you're catching this on the replay, we'll catch you next Monday night, man. Catch you next Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Thanks for all the comments and the support last week. Look forward to another good show tonight. So, tonight's show, by the way, the big board is in the description. If you want to follow along and just look at the big board. It is the big board itself is in the description. Stacy in here already. What is going on, Stace? Really appreciate you. Thanks for checking in. Can't wait to hear some of your opinions on my positional favorites. Chris Swain, what's up? This is my first live stream. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. And please, with the comments, don't be shy. Give me something to talk about. Flying solo tonight. So I appreciate everybody's support, everybody's comments. Give me some stuff to talk about, make it a little easier on me. But I wanted to do tonight's show alone because I have a lot to get off my chest on some of these prospects. So instead of having a back and forth, wanted to do this show solo. Mr. Karoma in here, Olasine. I did say I was going to be in here. Well, here I am. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Saw your comment, and here you are. That's beautiful. Appreciate the support. And my guy, Jim, 20 Eyes. Hey, thanks for the membership, Jim. I saw that. Appreciate you. So let's jump right into it. First, I want to explain basically what these positional favorites mean. Now, you might see them on the board. I'll bring up the big board real quick. I have this copy of it. But you can see the guys with the stars. Porter, we'll talk about tonight, number 39 on the board at corner. Farmer, number 41 on the board. You see him, defensive lineman. Mason Taylor, the tight end. Even though I don't expect us to draft one, I still put him on the board. Jaden Higgins. We'll talk about some of these guys tonight, but basically I pick one guy from every position, and I designate them as my positional favorites. And what that means is when I'm doing the draft process, I kind of tunnel in. I don't pay attention to any of the outside noise. I don't want to be influenced by other, like the professional analysts and all that. Once I finish my process, though, I'll come out and the guy like Darian Porter or Josh Farmer, I'll say, why do they have him so low? And I'll go back and watch again. I'm like, man, I really believe in this guy. So my positional favorites, as noted by the stars there, are going to be higher on my board than you'll find on other boards. And come draft night, my positional favorites will probably still be there while other people are getting taken off the board. And I'm just basically explaining my own bias, my own appreciation for these prospects. These are guys that I expect to outlive the normal NFL career of 4 years. I expect them to be productive players, and I expect them to exceed wherever they were drafted. You guys remember last year I was big on Roger Rosengarten, and, man, that has turned out well so far. So I want to get to the first prospect, wide receiver. Odds the Ravens draft a wide receiver in the first 2 rounds, I don't think is very high. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think with all the, well, it's not really needs, but with all the open space on defense, with D-Hop signed, with the 2 tight ends, Zay Flowers looks like he's going to be here for a while. I don't think they use first or second round resource on a receiver, but Jaden Higgins is my guy. So just a little bit about him. Jaden Higgins, Iowa State. 3 Iowa State players, by the way, second round grades or above. Can't remember that ever happening. A lot of talent at that program. Love his teammate, Jalen Noel, as well. But Higgins, 6'4", 214 pounds. And you see the arm length there, 33 and 1/8 inch arms. There are offensive linemen in this class, like some people's top tackle, Will Campbell, who would love to have the length that Jaden Higgins has. So 6'4" with the long arms allows him to play longer. He ran a 4.47. Not exactly the fastest wide receiver, but you wouldn't consider him slow. He's wide receiver 6 on my board, number 47 overall, 87 catches, 1,183 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Really like this guy. And my first note on him, and these are coming directly from my notes, but the route running, natural wide receiver qualities stand out early. So when you watch him, he's not like a Keon Coleman from last year was just a beast at the catch point. Some of these other big receivers, they don't move as well. Jaden Higgins has a natural wide receiver mentality, a little guy mentality, if you will, where he really sells the routes. His route running is natural. The way he catches the ball is natural. He's just a pure receiver. Is one of the reasons that I really like him. Second note, the adjustments and the ball tracking are a plus, and he has good play strength. So he's not going to get pushed around a ton in his routes. And when you see him making plays downfield, tracking the ball, he really is natural at it. He can go up and get the ball as well. Ball tracking are a plus, and that goes back to him just being a natural wide receiver. You can see him selling the routes. You see him track the ball. You see him do everything that you really want a wide receiver to do. One thing I'm really impressed about Jaden Higgins with is his ability to erase a bad throw. Um, I see a couple examples of this on film where he's running, say, a short route or a dig route, and the ball's tremendously thrown behind him, and he can just reach back easily, stop his feet easily, and erase a bad throw. So if the throw's off target, he can turn it into a catch. If the throw should be intercepted, he can get a hand in there, break it up from the DB. So I love the fact that he can erase a bad throw, because sometimes those bad throws can change games, and it happens. The ball will slip. Maybe there's pressure. Maybe the arm is just barely tipped, but a bad throw can really change a game for the worse. And he kind of erases those. Mentioned the catch radius with the 33 plus inch arms and the 6'4" height, and he can catch through contact. So again, that goes back to his play strength. He's not a wallflower out there. He's not getting pushed around for a tall guy. You see some of these tall, thinner receivers. He's got some good play strength to him too. And the last note, equally comfortable. I saw him on the left. I saw him on the right. I saw him on the slot. I saw him on the line of scrimmage beating press. Looks equally comfortable lining up wherever you ask him to line up. So the reason I like him for the Ravens is if Zay Flowers goes down, you could plug him in at Z. If Bateman goes down, you could plug him in at X. If Likely goes down or D-Hop goes down, you can plug him into the slot and find a mismatch for a tall receiver like that, because as you guys know, not everybody's got a room full of 6 foot plus cornerbacks. There's going to be smaller, quicker cornerbacks. So a guy like Jaden Higgins, yeah, not the fastest guy, but for all the reasons I said, I just love him. I think he's going to be a successful pro. Let's see. Stacy with the comment, someone perfect would have to fall for us to draft a wide receiver. Odds are low, I agree. Yeah, I mean, cornerback, edge, we need long-term plans at the edge position. Oweh, Kyle Van Noy on their last years of their deal. Cornerback, we need depth. Defensive lineman, you're losing Michael Pierce. Brent Urban still hasn't been brought back. Travis Jones is in his free agency year. So it's a lot of question marks other places than there are wide receiver, where you got Zay Flowers and Bateman for another year plus those tight ends. And Jim saying, I don't expect we'll draft a receiver in the first 7 rounds. What about round 8? That doesn't exist anymore, Jim. How many rounds did there used to be, Jim? Because I know you know this. Was it 15? I'm trying to remember way back in the day. Josiah's in here. Hey, what's going on, Josiah? I think we get a receiver late. Efton Chisholm III is a guy I predict us to take. Love it. Now, if we take a receiver late, this week I'm going to go back and look at guys who I haven't studied, look at the end of the board and try to include them. But I really feel like, Josiah, if we take a wide receiver late, he's going to have to play special teams. He's going to have to factor in, because you're not going to take a wide receiver in the 6th round and play him. Well, I mean, any receiver. You're not going to play him over Zay or Bateman or D-Hop. He's going to come in and have to work his way into the rotation. I think they want to get Devontae Walker involved more this year and let his speed at least clear out space for guys, give him a few deep targets. Tylen's going to be active on game day because he's a premier special teams player and gunner. So if we do draft a 6th wide receiver, he's either going to have to return kicks for us or he's going to have to cover kicks. And that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Like LaJohntay Wester of Colorado, he's small, but he does return kicks. I'm having a hard time whether to put him on the board or not. So when I go back and look at these guys at every position, really, but especially receivers, they're going to have to play special teams, or else they're just going to be a waste of a roster space. We're not going to have draft a guy in the 6th or 7th round to have him inactive every week. Yeah, a receiver who'd be a stud returning kicks would be perfect. That's why I kind of like Jalen Knowles so much. We don't have a slot receiver like him either. That's Higgins' teammate, by the way. smaller receivers, lightning quick, kick return experience, punt return experience. But we don't really have a smaller, quick, like prototypical old school slot in the building unless we want to use Zay there, which of course we could. But I like Jalen Noel a lot. Everybody seems to be in on him. Jim with the question: are Anthony Miller, Wade, and Cunningham still on the roster? They are, and Keith Kirkwood as well, the old Saint. I remember him playing for the Saints. But yes. So let's go on. Let's move on. Excellent comments already. Thank you guys. Really appreciate that. Let's see who's second. I don't even remember what order I put them in. Here we go. Now, this is a certified my guy. This one's getting the stamp. Anthony Belton, NC State, played left tackle for him. He reminds me a lot of Tyler Smith, who was drafted by the Cowboys in the first round a few years ago, without the penalties. Tyler Smith, of course, great player, has translated really well for the Cowboys, but he was penalized a ton in college, and it's penalized when I've seen him in the pros. I don't, of course, follow the other teams so carefully like I do the Ravens. But Anthony Belton, 6'6", 336. You see the long arms there, sufficient arm length. He is my offensive tackle number 7, number 55 overall on my board, and he's got 32 starts under his belt at left tackle. Can you imagine a man that big? I mean, 6'6", 305, 6'6", 310 is the usual height and weight you would see from a left tackle in college. Not Anthony Belton, 6'6", 336. A lot of reasons to love him. Now, what everybody will see with him is that he is a power player. He crushes down blocks. He just wears down the defensive lineman. Some of these down blocks are impressive. So if you guys know what a down block is, you're going to basically push the guy a half gap over from you as far that way as you can and just wipe away and clear space. At 6'6", he does a really nice job on those blocks, getting his pad level low, unlocking his hips, and just driving some of these bigger defensive tackles out of the way, plowing them out of the way. It's really impressive, but you would expect that from a guy who's 6'6", 336. So you say, okay, well, we know he's big and strong. He's also has, though, great upper body strength to latch and turn run defenders. So a lot of times, guys, I mean, you can picture it in your head. You see these offensive and defensive linemen in a wrestling match. Both of them have hand position. They're fighting. The defensive lineman's just trying to hold his ground, stick a paw out, try to get it on the running back. Anthony Belton can really torque. He's got a lot of power in his torque to be able to turn guys against their will. So if it's a guy straight up and he wants to move this other 300-plus pound man to his right, he can do so. There's one thing about having a power player in your profile where strength is your strength. Seen a lot of guys come through like that. His strength is the kind of strength that I think will translate. He's just really good at his body torque, really powerful upper body. It's not just mass, it's good mass. And of course, he played left tackle, so he's a patient pass blocker with surprisingly good body control. If you want to sell yourself on Anthony Belton, there is videos out there of the Senior Bowl offensive lineman versus defensive lineman. I plugged his channel last week, but I believe his name is Scott Kennedy. He's got plenty of tape out of there of these guys, some of these guys in the draft, just doing one-on-ones. You don't get to see it at the combine. But the Ravens are big on the Senior Bowl. They have a big presence there. Watch Anthony Belton go up against guys like Mike Green, who's going to be in this draft. Quick guys. Guys that'll, try to get you protecting the edge and then counter you back inside. Anthony Belton can stick with those guys. He's very, very patient. He does not panic. In any of the tape I saw, he's not worried about somebody beating him around the edge to where he gets in a hurry to get there. Very patient pass blocker, and he can change directions surprisingly well to me. Now, what you'll find in the people who disagree with me or just aren't as high on Anthony Belton as I am, so I'll say, well, he's 6'6", 336. So, of course, he's going to have to move in the guard. There's no way he can handle NFL speed rush at that level. I'm not so convinced. I think, of course, you match him up with Myles Garrett or TJ Watt. Anybody lined up against them is going to get chip help. You're going to help them out. But I think Anthony Belton has a chance to stay at tackle. And even if he doesn't, I think he'd make a great guard. A great guard on either side, right guard, left guard, because he's a natural pass protector and a butt kicker on the inside. But yeah, Scout's concerned with whether he sticks at tackle. Personally, I don't care. I think that you add a talented guy like this to the offensive line. If he doesn't stick at tackle, if the speed rushers are too much, you get to training camp and Oway's beating him around the corner, things like that. You just move him inside to guard, and he'll have plenty of strength to handle some of the big, strong guys in the AFC North and across the league, and be able to move guys against their will. If they want to put in a smaller pass rushing type defensive tackle against them, he's still going to hold up more than fine in pass protection and really be able to move that guy in the run game. So there's my reasons for loving Anthony Belton. 55 overall. I mean, if we took him in the second round, I would not be disappointed. Of course, I'm of the opinion that I want to see this offensive line get addressed early in this draft, just because you can never have enough depth, even if the coaches are dead set on starting Lele and Voorhees, which I'm not as sold on. We need guys behind them that can come in and play. Josiah asking, yeah, can he play guard? He has not. He has not played guard in college. 32 starts, I believe that's over 3 seasons. So I haven't seen him play guard. In his Senior Bowl, he was taking reps outside at tackle. And what that tells me, Josiah, is that the NFL scouts must see him as a tackle, because guys like Wyatt Milam and some other guys whose names are escaping me right now, they made them take – Gray Zabel is a good example. All his reps were at the inside at guard. So if scouts want to see you at guard at the Senior Bowl, they're going to put you there. He was lined up at left tackle at the Senior Bowl, but worst case scenario, I think he would translate very well to guard, because he's got the pass blocking chops, and you're not going to question his power. Brian, I want to get him. I prefer defensive players in the first 2 rounds, but Belton could provide depth at tackle and compete at guard, right? And Brian, remember, Lele, free agent after this year. And Andrew Voorhees, only 4 starts in the NFL. Of course, he had to red shirt his first year. So you have some uncertainty there at guard. And, Brian, my spiel I got on the soapbox last week is like, if you protect Lamar, you protect Derrick Henry, we're going to be tough to beat. If we don't beat ourselves come January, that's the key to me. Just don't have those, like what happened in the first half of Buffalo, where we were having trouble getting Derrick Henry effective runs. And of course, it had nothing to do with Derrick Henry. It was that we were losing up front. I don't want to be in a position like that again. All right, let's move on to our next player here. Donovan Jackson. Now, I kind of feel bad putting Donovan Jackson as a starred player, because he might go in the first round. And, to me, that's kind of cheating. I try to make my starred players guys that, are hidden gems, or, second round, third round, maybe even later. But, I mean, to me, he's one of the cleaner prospects in this class. 6'4", 315, 33.5-inch arms. Offensive guard number 3, number 30 overall. And to be honest, I keep fighting between Donovan Jackson, Gray Zabel, who would be a better fit. If both of them are available and the Ravens are going to take a guard, which one do you prefer? So I'd like to hear, type in Zabel or Jackson in the comments if you have a preference and you know both of those guys. Zabel, of course, just beautiful college tape. It was just at a smaller school. Donovan Jackson was at left guard, 31 starts at left guard. He started the last 9 games for Ohio State at left tackle when Josh Simmons got hurt and helped them win a national championship. They do not win a national championship without Donovan Jackson moving from left guard to left tackle. One of the most impressive things I saw was the Ohio State-Tennessee game, where Donovan Jackson just really stonewalled James Pierce time and time again. Of course, Pierce could go in the first round too. So this wasn't Donovan Jackson getting lucky and not facing competition at left tackle. He went out to left tackle, faced some of the best college pass rushers in the country, and did more than fine out there. So he's my offensive guard number 3, 30 overall, 40 starts, 31 of them coming at left guard. Let's check in. Josiah, a Zabel fan. All I seen, a Jackson fan, championship pedigree. Kirk, hey, what's going on, Kirk? Good to see you, man. Jackson, Jim saying Zabel is a one tough hombre. That's right. We need pedigree on that O line. So yeah, the big school guy who's played in the big games. I feel you on that. Um, and then Brian going another angle here. I like this. Depends on how negotiations with Linderbaum's going. Because Zabel could shift to center. He certainly could. And again, I think both of these guys are capable of getting you by at least at left tackle. If something happens and it's just a couple of starts and your backup guard is better than your backup tackle, those guys are the best option. Get you through a few games. They could do that too. But yeah, I have them back to back on my board. And I think a lot of it has to do with like, what do the Ravens want out of their guard? Now, Donovan Jackson, a more powerful player than Zabel, a more proven player than Zabel. Zabel, though, his movement skills are just really, really good in his uh, ability to get under people, and his natural pass protector is really, really good. So, do the Ravens want that big body? Is play strength important to them next to Linderbaum? If it is, maybe they prefer a guy like Donovan Jackson. If being able to pull and move block and just be able to move out on screens and stuff like that, climb into the second level is more important. Maybe they prefer Zabel. I had no idea. I think those guys are neck and neck. Love both of them. And again, with my stance on the offensive line, if we did use a first round pick on either one of those guys, even though at number 30 overall on my board, Donovan Jackson won't be the top guy on my board unless I keep moving him up. I would be happy with a mail it in Ben Grubbs type guard pick just to solidify that O line and make sure our quarterback and our all pro running back are protected. So we mentioned moved to left tackle for the final 9 games for national champion. Possesses a nice blend of physical skills, a natural player. So yeah, Donovan Jackson is a more powerful player than Gray Zabel, but Donovan Jackson can move too, and you can see him in these outside zone schemes. He can run it. He can climb if you ask him to do it. He can pull if you ask him to do it. So he's maybe not as smooth and mobile as Zabel, but don't get it twisted. Donovan Jackson can move too. A nice blend of physical skills, both power and movement skills. I look at Donovan Jackson as a high floor, scheme versatile player with easy power. Going back to what Olasine was saying, the high floor, the championship pedigree, that we've seen it against great pass rushers in college. A high floor player, injuries aside, he is going to make it. And I love that about prospects, especially, early on in the draft. You don't want to bust out. The worst thing you can do is bust. Draft a guy like Josh Rosen or Devin Bush, the Steelers drafted, where they're just not playable, and you keep forcing them into the lineup because you spent a first round pick on them, and they just keep hurting you and hurting you and hurting you. That's disaster for your franchise. You invest all that money, and you could have had a star type player, a Pro Bowl type player, and you get the opposite of that. That really hurts your franchise. Eric DeCosta has done a good job getting value out of his first round players. So with Donovan Jackson, I would expect him, whatever team to pick him, picks him, is going to get a good player for the next 4 or 5 years. Easy evaluation at guard and could provide value at tackle. I mean, there's really not much to say about Donovan Jackson. He's built like a guard at 6'4", 315. You've seen him do guard stuff at a high level. Very steady player, high floor. Again, there's not much fancy. There's not much division on him as a prospect. I just think that people pigeonhole him into, hey, look, he's a guard only, and we like these 2 guards better, or at least Tyler Booker better. I think Donovan Jackson, sneaky, could go into the end of that first round, and it wouldn't surprise me. Josiah checking in. Good pass pro and being able to block, and especially into space, is why I slightly favor Zabel. Fair choice, man. Like I have them pretty much back to back. Let me bring up my big board here and get to the second part here. So yeah, as it sits now, I got Zabel at 29, Jackson at 30. But I mean, I want to put these guys higher and just look at the board for a second. Look at the even if you just take the orange range there, Booker, Izira Raku, Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan, Stewart, Maxwell Hairston, James Pierce, Zabel, Donovan Jackson. I mean, that is a really thick talented top 30 players. I mean, I even faded Marion Hampton because I don't think there's any chance that we're going to take a running back in the first round, but we're going to get a really, really good player. So I don't know how high I can put a guard compared to those positions like the pass rushing defensive lineman or the edge or the corners that get paid big time. Like that's got to factor in too, because what you can't draft, you have to pay, or you have to be able to draft later. And it's really hard to find productive playmakers later in the draft. You have to kind of have a little bit of luck, have it fall to you to get a 10 sack guy or an 8 sack guy later in the draft. Whereas you can find guards later, they're just not going to be of the quality of Donovan Jackson. So tough call right there. I can't wait to get more information from you guys and feedback on the big board as it gets closer and closer. Who do you think I have too high? Who do you think I have too low? A note, Jihad Campbell at number 19 there, the linebacker / edge rusher, torn labrum. They found it, I believe, at the combine. He had surgery on it already and kind of clouds his practice availability through the summer. He should be good by the regular season. But again, it's a shoulder, a torn labrum in a shoulder. So that's kind of a tough ask for a guy that tackles people. Although, come to think of it, I'm not sure of a position where a torn labrum would be okay. Everybody kind of either tackles or blocks or catches the ball. But I did drop Campbell down the board a little bit with that injury. And then Colston Loveland, I expect him to go in the first round, but I'm half tempted just to, put the orange marker on him, take him out of the green, and then just drop him down to like where Marion Hampton is. Because again, I don't think the Ravens are going to draft a tight end in the first round. So, but you don't want to leave guys off the board or have them too ridiculously low. So that's the mindset behind why I have them where I have them. Okay, let's see who's next up here. Moving over to the defense, Joshua Farmer. If you follow me on X and Twitter, you've heard me talk about this guy more than a few times. I don't know why he's not getting more attention nationally. I know this is a historically deep defensive line class. They're legit. The defensive linemen are going to be very high-end guys and then also depth guys in this draft. But Joshua Farmer really sticks out to me. I'm standing strong on this evaluation. He's 6'3", 305. Check out the arm length, 35-inch arms. For those who put great importance on that, that will mean something. Those that don't care about arm length, I get you. I think everything means something only if you can use it. Like you can run a fast 40, but if your play speed isn't fast, then the 40 doesn't mean anything. You can have long arms, but if your hand placement isn't good, your arms are late and you don't use your length, then it doesn't really matter how long your arms are. He is my defensive lineman, number 5 and number 41 overall. So I have him very high in that second round. He's got 9 sacks in 25 starts. I believe he played 3 years or started for 3 years, 25 starts, 9 sacks over the last 2 years. Why I like Josh Farmer? Well, there's really not a lot that I dislike about him. He's a violent, attacking play style, very good pad level. You see him at 6'3" there. So he's able to get up under some of these taller offensive linemen and just fires out on the ball really well. And, of course, has got those long arms to be able to make first contact and run situations. So he gets on you. His first step is not incredibly explosive, but he's able to get on you with those long arms. And he's just a violent, attacking style player. It's just relentless style. Like I actually have seen some people question his motor and effort. I think it's the opposite. The first game I watched, 11-play drive, 12-play drive, and the 11th or 12th play, whatever it was, he looked just as fresh as the first, especially the way the Ravens rotate defensive linemen in. He's the kind of guy that can really wear on you and give you a headache. Powerful punch, outstanding length for easy sheds. So you can see him when he stacks somebody up. And again, a violent attacking play style. You will see him dismiss guys in a hurry. Get up on them powerfully, get them off balance, jolt them a little bit, shed them with those long arms. There's really leaves offensive linemen in a helpless situation. with that powerful punch and big, easy length. So this isn't a guy that's just a sack artist. He's got the play strength, the powerful hands, and the length to be able to two gap and do some of the dirty work that you see bigger defensive linemen do. Again, he's only 305 pounds. A lot of the nose tackles are 330, 340. He's a little light on that, but he's also stocky at 6'3". So you get a nice blend of a guy who can pass rush and a guy who's strong enough to defend the run. Big frame, broad shoulders too. Just looked really, really good. Proportional build that has the ability to finish and be a 3-down player. Now that's very important to me. When you get up in these defensive linemen, it's very easy to say, "Oh, this guy's really good at rushing the passer. Man, he's got a quick first step. He's got a spin move. Man, he's got really good bend. He can finish." Yeah, but the guy's 280 some pounds. He gets washed away in the run game, and it's almost impossible to play him on first down, especially if you play for a team like the Ravens who values their bigger guys. And then you get these guys who are just run stuffers. They're big body and, really can't rush the passer. Maybe Travis Jones type production where you get 3 or 4 sacks a year is about as far as you'll get. I think with Farmer, you get the best of both worlds. I think he has the ability to be a 3-down player. So if the other team goes big and there you got a big old running back, they want to run the ball. He can stack the guard in front of him. He can hold up against a double team, stack and shed, stonewall a running back. He can do all that. But if it's a passing situation, as you can see with the 9 sacks and 25 starts, that's very, very good for a defensive lineman. And also keep in mind, you might not be college football fans, but that Florida State defense that he played on wasn't very good. Not a lot of leads. So it's not like he played on a undefeated national championship team that was up by 30 points every game. And Farmer got to keep rushing the passer and rushing the passer and rushing the passer. Like this man earned his 9 sacks and 25 starts. You can believe that. So what is his weaknesses? He needs to be more consistent versus the run, and he needs to add to his pass rush. So there are times, I outlined him so far as this great run defender with tremendous length. Sometimes he's a little inconsistent with that. He can be a little slow off the ball. He can lose the ball. I think he really needs to stop what we saw with Matabike early in his career. The head ducking and then not being able to follow the ball, getting too involved on your own man, that violent attacking style where he's caught so much up into his own guy that he's not following the ball well. So he needs to be more consistent with that. And really his pass rush is raw. Right now it's just all effort and physical skill. He needs to add to his pass rush. Chuck Smith, guy all of us should trust to be able to develop our pass rushers. So I love the fit here in Baltimore at number 41 overall, and I'm high on him. So maybe if you look at him on most experts' boards, he's in the 50s and the 60s. If we drafted this guy in the second round, I'd be very, very happy. A lot of fans will be, who is this guy? Why is he here? But this is why I'm making the case for Josh Farmer, someone I have ranked very highly. Hey, look at our guy, AP, Alec Polianis. Love the slides to go along with your analysis. Thank you. I worked on them. No production staff here, Alec, as you know. So I put these together last night and today. They're just trying to make them look as good as possible. Got the Florida State type color up there and all. And the day checking in. What's going on today? Great job. You're picking some great players. Well, thanks. And if you think I'm picking a bad player, I would love to hear the feedback. That's the fun part of the draft for me. You're not going to hurt my feelings. And I'm not going to trash your takes either because the draft is tremendously unpredictable. But yeah, for Josh Farmer in a deep defensive line class, I actually have him ranked 5th, which is high praise for the man. All right, here we go. Edge rusher now. Moving on, we got the UCLA blue up at the top with Oluwafemi Oladejo, UCLA. This guy is a very interesting prospect. And you can see, again, this isn't a top prospect. My positional favorites aren't the top guys. They're somewhere along the board. But I really like Oluwafemi Oladejo. I'm intrigued by him, and I think he could be a really good player for us. You see the size 6'3", 259. That's usually how the Ravens like their edge rushers. For some teams, that might be a little big. Some teams, that might be a little small. But he's a stand-up type guy, not a hand-in-the-dirt type guy. He's got very good length at 33 and 3/8 inch arms. He's not undersized. He's going to project to be able to rush the passer, and he's going to be able to project to stop the run. So 6'3", 259, got some stockiness to him. He is my 10th ranked edge, number 62 overall. So you can see I got 10 edge rushers in the top 62, which if you like the edge rushers as much as I do, this kind of goes against the argument to pick an edge rusher in the first, because you can wait to the third or fourth round and get a guy that can play a role for you there. So yeah, it's what makes the draft beautiful, and how you prioritize these guys, which ones you project, which positions you project to be strong, what position groups you're not as high on. Now with Oladejo, 4.5 sacks, 13.5 tackles for loss last year, so decent production. Here's the thing with him: he is a converted inside linebacker, but he has a natural feel for pass rushing. So it wasn't too long ago, maybe 2 years before, I believe, he was playing linebacker off the ball, inside linebacker, Mike linebacker, moving, tackling, block shedding. They decided that he's going to be more productive for the team, and he's got a better chance to make the pros as an edge rusher. And for a guy who just transitioned, those are guys that I usually stay away from. My personal preference is to have someone with a natural pass rushing ability, somebody who knows what they're doing. I don't like the guys who are physical freaks but don't produce in college. This is kind of an exception to me, and I actually think 4.5 sacks your first year as a pass rusher is pretty damn good. And when you watched him in the Senior Bowl and the combine drills, as my second note there, you could really see he has a clear feel for trying to play basketball with the offensive tackle, get him leaning one way, come back the other. That game of chicken, that game of chess that you see between the edge rushers and the tackles on every downs. Like, this guy's got a feel for it, a natural feel for pass rushing, and he just started playing the position. So I like the upside there. He wins around the edge with a chop, nice chop move, two-hand swipe at times. He does his hand usage to get around the edge. He's got really good dip and bend, as you can imagine, for a former inside linebacker. And he has a really tight spin move, really quick with the spin move, really quick, tight with it. And he does that Euro step, kind of gets you off balance with the inside counter. So he's got to move to the outside. He's got to move to the inside. The last bullet point here speaks for itself. He just needs more experience. He needs to add more tools in the pass rush. And for his run defense, by the way, very strong. He's got some pop in his hands. He plays stronger than you would expect an inside linebacker to play on the edge. Think Malik Harrison here, where he's a powerful inside linebacker. Maybe doesn't have the feet to stick with inside linebacker, running backs through the hole. But Malik Harrison can set the edge like nobody's business. That's the kind of upside I think Oladejo has in this run defense. But I think he's going to be a much better pass rusher, obviously, than Harrison is. I think he's going to be a much better pass rusher than, say, Atavius Robinson. I think he could be our third best pass rusher by the end of the year if we were to take this guy. At 62 overall, and I'm high on him, so I'm guessing with most boards he's going to be in the 80s and the 90s. Oladejo is a guy that if we picked in the third round, I'd probably be pretty happy with. And if we got him in the fourth round, I would look at it as a steal. Again, this is a guy who's played inside linebacker. He's got good range. You try to run to his side, he can make the running backs have to banana it out and really stretch it out to the edge. He's physical in his play. He's not a finesse player. And again, he's got a natural feel for just getting the tackle that he's across from to lean one way and counter the other. Even if you don't have time to scout, write this name down, write the last name down, check out his highlights or do something. I'm sure they're out there to get a feel for his game. And again, the Senior Bowl reps, which I'll always point people to, check him out at the Senior Bowl against some college tackles who are going to get drafted, and watch how disruptive the kid with the gold helmet is in those drills. Combine drills, when they were running the hoop drill, when they were moving up and down, you could just tell that he was a former inside linebacker who's got some real foot coordination. So again, those are all the reasons that I like Olufemi Oladejo better than consensus. He's my edge number 10, excuse me. Jim saying we need to develop both IDL and edge pressure. We do. Because, you look at our frontline guys, okay, Oweh, Van Noy, maybe Adisa Isaac gives us a little something. Tavius Robinson, he's going to play on the edge because of his run stuffing prowess. And then on the interior of the defensive line, Matabike, Travis Jones. We trust Broderick as well. But we need a second line of defense, and that's what this draft is all about. We can take guys with raw skills like Farmer, like Oladejo, and really work them in and take a swing. They can help contribute this year. If there's an injury, they'll be ready to contribute. But as Jim's saying, they're guys we can develop and really turn into productive AFC North players, which is important. When I'm making my board, something I take pride in, and I hope you guys, follow me for this, is that I'm thinking about the Ravens here. Now, you might disagree with me on this or that, but like when I'm making the board, I have the Ravens in mind. What style of player do they want? Yeah, anybody can say, well, we want a running back. Yeah, but what kind? Do you want a third down back? Or are you looking for a between the tackles back? We need an edge rusher. Yeah, but what kind? It can't be, big old defensive end that we don't play. What kind of corner do you want? What kind of safety do you need? I think we need a free safety. That way we can free Kyle Hamilton up to be that chess piece and move around the ball. I don't want Kyle babysitting the back half and just sitting in deep zone. I want Kyle to be dynamic. So all that goes into consideration when I'm making the board. Like the discussion I was having with myself, earlier about Zabel and Donovan Jackson. And that's why I like getting you guys' opinion in on that, because I can't pick. Do you want the power guard who can move a little bit, or do you want the mobile guard who has a little bit of power? I can't choose between Donovan Jackson and Zabel. That's going to go right up to draft day. To corner, Darian Porter, Iowa State. Mentioned the Iowa State guys with a second round grade and above. This is one of them. I'm extremely, extremely intrigued by this guy. 6'3", 195. Again, the long arms, which pays off well when your batting ball's down. And he ran a 4.3 flat, 4.30 in the 40. He is my cornerback 6, number 39 overall, and he has 3 interceptions last year. First note, obvious, intoxicating combination of height, speed, and length. You're 6'3", you run a 4.3, and you're long arms. It's going to be hard to get any kind of deep passes in on this guy with the height and the speed that he possesses. And you can think about what kind of weapon that is when you want to man up and you don't have to worry about your corner getting beat, because he's got that kind of speed. He's faster than the receiver across from him. He's taller than the receiver across from him. So the physical skills alone. Why Darian Porter isn't being mocked in some first rounds, I'm not sure, because I think he could sneak in there. Second, converted wide receiver. Excuse me, I'm going to take Jim's comment off there. Apologize. Converted wide receiver with a nice feel for route development. So there it goes. That's why he's being slept on, in my opinion, is that he played wide receiver only 1 year starting as a cornerback. That was last year. So guys don't have a lot of film on him. Is he a 1 year wonder? Is he a project? We don't know. Well, we got Will Johnson. We know he's ready to play. We got Jahdae Barron. We know he's ready to play. Maxwell Hairston's a physical freak. We like him. Trey Amos, a lot of Trey Amos fans out there. We like him. Siobhan Revelle, a lot of people like him. I think Porter should be right in there with these guys. To me, it's even more impressive that you've only played cornerback for a couple of years, converted wide receiver, and you already have a nice feel for route development. So there are plenty of examples out there. If you guys study tape, I'm sure you'll agree with me on this, where Porter is in zone and he's got a really good feel for what's going on around him. He sees the field well. So you're telling me he's 6'3", runs a 4.3, and sees the field well? To me, that's a player that you seriously have to consider drafting early in this draft. He can turn and find the ball. And of course, when he does find the ball, he has wide receiver like ball skills as a converted wide receiver. So I'm sure his highlights are on YouTube as well. With the 3 interceptions, I remember one of them was he was in trail. He was in trail. So he pressed the guy at the line. Um, Guy ran by him. He called up, turned around, found the ball, jumped up, intercepted it. A skill that many Ravens fans have been longing for. It took a long time for Marlon to finally get there, and he's still not consistent with turning and finding the ball. We just went through the Brandon Stevens experience for 4 years. Do not have to worry about that with Darian Porter. Excuse me. Only 1 year of starting experience. He's already turning and finding the ball when he's targeted downfield. And of course, as a former wide receiver, he's got some hands. Lastly, if that wasn't enough, the last comment here. Note, special teams ace. He played gunner for them. He has 4 blocked punts. Again, 4 blocked punts. They're all coming off the edge, which just goes back to his quickness, speed, and length. To block 4 punts, a block field goal as well in there. So if it takes him a little longer than you expect to develop, he is automatically a 4-phase special teamer right off the bat. But I think really, if you put him especially in zone coverage, he could start right now. He's not as experienced. He's the opposite of experienced when it comes to Cheeto Awuzie. But you're talking about a beast athlete to get in here. I really like him. I really like him. I know that a lot of people are going to be scared off of him, and I understand the concerns with him only being a 1-year starter. But you add it all up, bro. You run a 4.3 at 6'3", and you done block punts, played gunner. So you got the toughness. When you're asking him to tackle and stuff like that, yeah, maybe he can bulk up and add 10 pounds, 15 pounds. But you know he's tough if he's blocking punts and playing gunner. So you don't worry about him or run support as long as his feet are nice. And when you watch, I've got to watch some of him at gunner. He knows how to break down and tackle. So he's not a fly-by miss guy. Like he understands. I'm running full speed, one punt coverage. Now the guy caught the ball. I have to break down, chop my feet, and tackle. So you can see him do that. Just a really impressive player. I'm on mute for a second. Hang on, guys. Okay, I will get back to the comments here. Dominic, hey, what's going on, man? Appreciate you. Might be my most important position. Guard, corner. Yeah, cornerback definitely could use some depth there and somebody to push Cheeto and to be there if we get injuries. It would be nice if TJ Tampa steps up and becomes a starting cornerback. It'd be great if JAD could finally be healthy and put it together, but we need to start developing cornerbacks. You can never have enough, and that's true. Dewan, hey, what's going on, man? It's good to see you over here. Dewan 100. We need him for DK. Yeah, see, Darian Porter could bang with DK for sure. They're pretty much the same height. DK's, of course, play strength is something else, but Porter could be patient against a guy like that, Dewan, and not have to worry about DK like running past him and getting some huge advantage. And he can high point with DK. Dominic saying Porter was a fun watch. Glad you had fun watching him too. Yeah, he looks like a Raven to me. Josiah's day 2 steal he would be. Yeah, if he fell to round 2, he's going to be one of the guys I'll be really calling for on our draft day coverage. I hope you guys join me on draft day. We'll be coming at you day 1, day 2, maybe a little bit of day 3. We'll have special guests so you won't get sick of me talking all the time. But we'll cover this draft from a Ravens angle. We'll be updating the big board, taking names off as they go, talking about who we should take, where we should go. So yeah, can't wait for that. We need Porter, and after JPJ went to the Steelers, yeah. So they got their Porter, we got our Porter. Ha ha, Alec Polianis, always with the joke. I love you, brother. I honestly think Porter could fall to the round 3 due to his lack of experience and age. But wow, what a steal he would be. Yeah, he's up there in age too. It's a great point. Porter will be 24 this year. So yeah, born in 2001. So yeah, it's a very, very good chance he could draft a round 3. I don't know though, with the being a premium position number 1 and with those physical skills and his experience on special teams, I don't know. And Alec again chiming in, might be worth a trade back to try to get a few of these guys in the 30s, the 50s you would mark. Yeah. I mean, I'm not big on, team trade back usually. I usually like to stick and get the guy that you want unless it's clear. But man, you look at that big board and I'll bring it up one more time. I mean, just look at the quality of guys, even from like 33 to 51. You telling me we could get 2 of those guys? That would be great. And of course, somebody from this green column is going to fall. So let's say we can get like a Donovan Jackson falls to the second round. You can get Donovan Jackson, and then early third round, get like a Kyle Williams or a Jaden Higgins, or Darius Alexander. A lot of people love him. See him there at number 44. He's another older player, but man, what a player he is. Let's move it on here. Let's move it on. Hope I'm not boring you guys to death here. Not used to going solo. So linebacker is a need. Now, I guess you guys heard Coach Harbaugh today saying they want to give Trenton Simpson a chance at will linebacker, at least on first and second down. And, of course, on third downs, they like to play some dime. That's where you would really like to move Kyle around and have his length right in the middle of the field on the second level. That would be great. But, yeah, they could still use to add another linebacker because, remember, they lost Malik. They lost Chris Board. So right now it's just Roquan and Trenton Simpson on the roster. And, of course, there's a couple other guys. But really, we need somebody to back up and for the future. And my guy is Jeffrey Bassa from Oregon. I wasn't completely in love with this linebacker class. I got to be honest with you. The defensive line was great. Edge was great. The running back class is ridiculous. Of course, you're going to have wide receivers and corners. The top of the tight end group is really good. The top of the safety group is really good. Inside linebackers is the one I was kind of lukewarm on. That said, it's still a great draft. But I had to search long and hard to find my guy at inside linebacker. And for me, it's Jeffrey Bassa. He gives you something I think that you can depend on, is why I like him. Let's go over his game. 6'1", 232. So he's shorter. It's 6'1". But the 232 matches up there with the weight that you see from other guys. I mean, you see a lot of linebackers in this draft in the 220s. 224. He weighs 228. So Bassa at 6'1", 232 is a little stockier. The arm length isn't going to wow you. The play speed the 40 time isn't going to wow you. 4.63 is not slow for an inside linebacker, but it's not fast either. He's not running into 4.4s like Patrick Queen. He is my inside linebacker number 5, and I have him at 84 overall. He is a senior. I believe he played a little bit as a reserve his first 2 years and then started the last 2 years, something like that. So he was a straight 4-year player. Easy lateral mover and quickness to avoid blocks. This is the first thing that stuck out to me, was that offensive lineman has him in his sights. Bassa sees him. Even if Bassa sees the offensive lineman a little late, he can do the little peekaboo move laterally, move back to where he's spot, make the offensive lineman whiff, and make the tackle. So I like that. He does not get stuck on blocks. He can avoid blocks, and he's got powerful enough hands to shed them, even though he's not a long guy. So, yeah, Bassa sticks out to me with his ability to avoid those O-linemen climbing to level 2 and get into the lane that he's supposed to be unimpeded. Love that. So it's a natural linebacker quality that, quite frankly, a lot of these college guys, with the game being so spread out and it being such a passing league in college too, a lot of these guys aren't your down and dirty traditional run defender. Bassa has got those kind of skills to me. He can avoid a block, make a tackle. He's a wrap-up tackler with good play strength. He plays bigger than his size. He plays like for example, Roquan, powerful player. Patrick Queen, not a powerful player. He's somewhere in between. He's not going to rock your world like Roquan or Ray Lewis, if you want to get really extreme with the example. But he's not going to get dragged either. I mean, this is a player that's got some pop, and he's wrap-up tackler. We're talking a form tackle, even if running back makes a good move on him. He's not one of these sloppy tacklers or lazy tacklers or however you want to categorize him, where he's going for the knockout shot and he misses tackles because of it. Nah, when he's got you in his sights, he's doing it the way you're taught. Um, would like to see what his missed tackle rates are, but when I saw it, he was a very good tackler and very conscious of getting his arms and wrapping. Um, he projects well in man-to-man coverage, and he's a decent blitzer. So when you're talking about on passing downs, I trust him covering running backs. I trust him covering tight ends. Again, it comes back to that lateral movement and quickness in the first bullet point there. He's got it. Now, of course, you don't want him on Jahmyr Gibbs or a Keaton Mitchell type fast player, but he does project well on these tight ends coming out, in man-to-man coverage. And if there's a throw in the flat to a running back that has some speed, he's got the he's got the instincts to be able to close fast. And again, is going to make sure that he wraps up and makes the tackle. He exhibits nice balance, range, and angles to the football. See some natural football player qualities to him, where he's taking the good angles. He understands who's the faster player, where I have to banana angle out a little bit to make sure I know he uses the sideline as his friend. Good hustle. And when the offensive linemen do get a hand on him, he has the strength and the balance to be able to maintain his feet and still make a play. I see some over pursuit issues with Bossa. That would be my biggest complaint, where he does get in a hurry sometimes when in the box, not out on the sideline. Like I mentioned, he takes good angles. But a lot of times in the box, sometimes I think he could be a little bit more patient. But I like this match next to a guy like Roquan, where Bossa can play will linebacker and give us some depth there to step in. And because, Roquan did not have as great a year this past year as he did the year before and the half year before. But he's very important to this defense. Bossa, again, something else I did not note, very good communicator. You could tell he was the leader of that Oregon defense. They had him playing Mike. He was always in the box almost all the time. He was straight in the middle of the line of scrimmage, where the linebacker next to him was kind of playing on the overhang or was clearly the will. Bossa played Mike at Oregon. He handled it very well. In the NFL, you move him to will. You got Roquan. I think he would be a very good NFL player, and I expect him to make a name for himself. Of course, he's going to have to play special teams. I'm sure he knows that. He's not a first-round pick. He's going to go somewhere as a backup linebacker. He knows he's going to have to play special teams, so you kind of trust him to do that. Well, let's see what we got in the comments here. Okay. We got some comments I got to get to. Josiah, Simpson has to earn it. He was horrible for us last year. We need competition for that position. Yeah, Josiah, I saw flashes from Simpson. Last week I made the argument that I think he got a raw deal, that I think he got blamed for a lot of the safeties issues in coverage. But, your point still stands. We need competition for that position, because if year 3 is not Trenton Simpson's breakout year, we don't want to be in a position that we were last year. We don't have Malik. We don't have Chris Board. We need some answers. Jim, who do we need to defend in the middle of the field? Yeah, it's a good question. It changed from team to team. I think that the run defense is going to be most important. The Ravens want to go to dime. They're willing to go to dime if we can get enough defensive backs in here, which I expect them to do. So give me somebody who can defend the run, to where if Roquan goes down, we don't have too much of a drop-off defending the run. We got those big old defensive linemen. Give me somebody who can make a blocker miss and make the tackle. Dominic, so 4 6-rounders are going to be essential. Yeah, there is a tab on my big board for the depth chart. It's going to be great, Dominic, in my opinion, because even if one of these guys, we get them in here and they don't fit, that's fine. One of the guys you might hit a home run with, and he might be better than Sanusi Kane or Bo Braid or any of the other late round picks that we've had lately. Or maybe it's a running back in the 6th round, and you're like, wow, this guy's much better than Rasheen Ali. So yeah, those 4 6-rounders, usually a lot of drafts, Wouldn't say they're worth much. You're taking home run swings or you're just trying to fill out. But this is the type of deep draft, honestly, Dominic, where I think you could get something in the 6th round normally. Mr. Aguilera, hey, check out Chris on Deep Cover Pod. He is also with Coach Evans over at Sip to Tally. Man, good to see you, Chris. And I want to say, trying because I haven't asked Chris, but I was kind of staying away from Chris because he's doing so much work with Coach. I didn't want to intrude on Coach's work. I have the utmost respect for Coach. He's one of, excuse me, one of the reasons I started YouTube. But that is the man right there. Go follow Chris, Deep Cover Pod, and of course Coach Evans on Sip to Tally. Dominic, Chris Paul, Jaden Higgins from Iowa, Cody Simon. Yep, Cody Simon. All good coverage guys from where I watch. Yeah, Chris Paul, a lot of people's favorites, Dominic. And I got him right next to Bossa on the board. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can bring this up real quick. Yeah, you can see him, 83 and 84. Chris Paul Jr. and Bossa. So, if it came down to those two, I would be happy with either one. Paul's like, I got some of the same concerns with him as I do with like Bossa, where Paul, and I don't think he's as strong of a player as Bossa as far as play strength, Dominic. Paul's a really good player. He's just in the 220s, and he's no faster than Bossa is. So yeah, I kind of prefer Bossa. Chris Paul is a very popular pick, though. What do you think of Danny Stutzman or someone like Nick Martin in the later rounds? You know what? I think Danny Stutzman out of Oklahoma is going to be a popular pick, and I actually think he's going to go before people think. I could see Stutzman being a guy that the Ravens covet. As a matter of fact, if we come back and pick Danny Stutzman, I'm going to bring this up because Stutzman, what I don't question with him is his ability to defend the run. I think Stutzman will be a liability in pass protection. But you're talking about one of the better run defenders in this class. The only thing I worry about with his run defense is if he gets some of these quickie, twitchy type running backs that can cross him up, maybe he can, get his ankles broke off, something like that. He's not the quickest guy, but Stutzman is a pro run defender. So I really like that suggestion of Danny Stutzman. In passing situations, I'm kind of out on him, to be honest with you. Josiah, we need a thumper who can also draw back in coverage like a Jack Kaiser. Would be open to a guy like Hunter Wohler, who's a safety but very physical, and converting him into a linebacker. Yeah, Hunter Wohler could play in the box for sure. We wanted to go dime situations. He really showed off, too, at the Senior Bowl. I really was impressed with Hunter Wohler. Jack Kaiser, Mr. Notre Dame, had like a crazy amount of starts. He's gonna be, of course, special teamer. Both of those guys made my list, Josiah. And I like the Wohler shout out. Yeah, nice coverage linebacker for sure. Another angle here. Harbaugh said something about Trent being an early down back. Yes, he did. He said that he wanted 2 down will. He saw Trent. So someone like a Stutzman or Kobe King, where strong run defenders could offer some value. That's what I was thinking. And also, like I said, we play safeties in that role. Chuck Clark held it for a long time. Anthony Levine. Think of the safeties that played that dime role. So the Ravens aren't afraid for that. Love you, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, man, we'll get with you. And if you want to come on, if you have the time, man, I'd love to have you. See me flying solo here. Mouth is getting dry. So with that, I just want to thank you guys. Tremendous show. Kind of tired of talking. Not used to going solo for this long. But I wanted to explain my positional favorites, what they mean, why I like them, why I think they would fit onto the Ravens. So feel free to share this video, tweet it. If you're watching it on replay, I would love you to get in and give your opinions on some of these situations. Give me something to look at. Give me something to talk about. And also, this past week, I looked at the front of the board. I made a lot of changes to like the first 3 rows of that board, the first 80-some guys or whatever it is. This week, I'm going to the end of the board. So who is not on the board that you like? That's what I would like to hear in the comments. Give me somebody to go back and study again. I'm going to be looking at, there's one kid from that showed up in the East-West Shrine board, Ja'Cory. the running back that I want to look at this week, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt out of Arizona. I got to look at him. So I do have some more guys to look at, and I would like to hear your suggestions. Go to bat for your guys. The board is pretty full this year, but I will make changes. Take some guys off and add some guys if necessary. So really appreciate that. So next week we'll go back. We'll have a guest. Next week we'll have a different show. 3 more shows to go. This was show 2 out of 5 until draft week. Remember, draft coverage that night 1, night 2, and the 3rd day of the draft, maybe. Just depends how I feel. But we'll be updating the board throughout the draft. I really appreciate your guys' support. I always get excited when I open the big board to make a change and I see people viewing the board. It's a very rewarding experience. So I appreciate that. And we're getting some names coming up here. I will go back and look at these guys. And Monagai is actually on the board, I believe, at linebacker. Appreciate that. I'll bring this up. And feel free to type more names in the comments. But that's why I love you guys. I know you all do your homework and stick at this channel. So thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Good night, everybody. See you next week.